brutal honesty of it is, people at the top table don't give a shit about the fans. I know people don't want to hear that, or the boxers don't want to hear that, promoters probably don't want to hear that, but if it's lining their pockets, they're going to do it. Nah, ask me, would I do the same? Yeah, absolutely.
Charlotte Daly here with Mel Sport Boxing. I'm joined by Frazer Clarke, who has just got in last night. How are you feeling? How's the hotel? How's everything?
I'm a little bit tired, but I'm excited now. From what started off a few months ago as a bit of a joke of a boxing show and fight, has become the biggest boxing fight and night in recent years. You know what I mean? So you just have to look who's here. It's become something to look at, something to be excited about. So I'm me and my friend, we're both here. We're both here last night. We're tired. We're gonna refresh today and look forward to tonight.
Yeah, and you said there about so many people coming over. Did you see the kind of A-list lineup that went to that gala last night?
Oh, I had an invite, but obviously with all the the lateness of the plane was late, and then I had problems with the visa. I missed it all, which I'm gutted about because there's just so many legends about, aren't there? But it's one of them things. It's
well, at least they'll be at the fight tonight.
Exactly.
So obviously we've got a big fight this evening with Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou. But I have a feeling you've got your eyes on the British title fight between Fabio Wardley and David Adeleye. How do you think that kind of plays out?
Of course, I got my own. It's the reason I came in. The Fury and Ngannou thing is intriguing, but it doesn't really get my juices flowing like this British title fight, because that's something that I want, And as far as the fight, it's a good fight between two good fighters. I think we're very competitive. I don't think there's a clear favourite. I think it's going to come down to a big occasion, who handles that best, and then also I don't think there's much experience between both of them, and they both had more professional fights than me. But in terms of boxing experience, I don't think there's a lot. I'm going with my original prediction of Fabio winning, but I wouldn't be surprised if David pulled out of the bag either.
But so Fabio doesn't have any amateur experience, which I always think in these big fights, when you have to kind of dig deep and you're going toe to toe with somebody of kind of equal ability of you, that amateur experience really comes into play, and he doesn't have that. So do you think that almost gives him a bit of a disadvantage, or not so much?
Well, since I've turned pro, obviously I had a great amateur career, and lots of good amateurs got on to do great things. Professional boxing is so different that maybe sometimes not having that experience can help a little bit. Me, with my experience and everything I've seen, maybe sometimes I'm a little bit too cautious. Whereas Fabio, he's raw, and I think it works to his advantage. So I know what you're saying about the difficult situations and the difficult times, and you can use your experience for that. But at the same time, he goes in there fearless because he's not been in them difficult amateur fights with these different styles. So he just goes out there and fights, and ultimately the pro boxing, when you're fit and you're strong and you can fight, it can get you a long way.
Yeah, you said there about the fact that he's fearless, and he's always coming forward and fighting on the front foot. Now, David Adeleye in the press conference actually said to him, that's the only tactic you have, that's the only style you have, whereas Adeleye thinks that he can set traps and kind of lure him in. What do you think about that?
I think he's right in a sense that Fabio can't just do that. I think he can have a shootout. I think he's got fast hands. I think he's good at coming forward. He's good at putting his shots together. But Adeleye talking about setting traps, I think that's just a lot. I've never seen him set a trap in my life. He caught the one fella with a good backhand and the left hook and knocked him out. But he's not much more clever than Fabio, if I'm honest. I was just listening to an interview talking about his amateur experience. What amateur experience? I think one of the novices or something like that. So he's not boxed at a high level either. But I get what he's saying. He's got that little bit of experience in amateurs, which might help him a little bit. But I don't think this fight's going to come down to that. This is going to come down to who wants it more and who's willing to really put themselves in the line of fire in terms of winning.
Yeah, and they're both known for knocking people out, and because there's that bad blood between them, I feel like even more so they're going to want to get one up and knock the other guy out. So what does that make for the fight itself and the styles and combinations?
It makes for a good fight. When you've got two people, similar skill set, that don't like each other, and probably don't know how to handle their emotions in a boxing ring with someone that they don't like. So that could either drive them on, or it could make them make mistakes and do things that they wouldn't usually do. So I think the public and the crowd there are in for a hell of a fight, because I think they'll both get hit and they'll both go for the knockout. So I'm looking forward to it.
And if they're both unable to kind of control their emotions by themselves, how important is the corner in that aspect for keeping them level-headed and going with the game plan?
Very experienced. He's going to be crucial, to be honest. I think Fabio Wardley has got his normal coach, and I'm sure I've seen Ben Davidson's over here as well. And we know how good he is in corners. We look at him with the Tyson experience, the Billy Joe experience, and the fighters he's got now, Lee Wood, the McCormacks. I know, you just know his credentials. In a corner, he gives the right advice. I'm not sure who's with Adeleye, but I think he's an American guy, and I'm sure they'll have their own tactics and game plan. But ultimately, it'll come down to which boxer can do as they're told, because that's what you have to do. You got to listen, you got to go and carry out the tactics, and if they go out the window, then it's about what's in here.
Yeah.
And what's in here and what's in here, you got to combine the two, and the best man will win.
Yeah. And just in terms of that bad blood, we obviously saw it boil over at the press conference in London a while ago. That kind of threw the fight into jeopardy because we were wondering how bad Fabio's cut was and stuff like that. Do you think that that's unnecessary and kind of crosses the line? Because obviously we see it all the time with misfits. Should we try and stamp that stuff out of the traditional side of the sport?
I think with the misfit stuff, it's it's coming, so it's like and it's very much handbags.
Yeah.
With this kind of stuff, I've been there myself. I get it. There's a lot of pride between fighters. David's proud, Fabio's very proud, and at the same time, you have to look after yourself. So it shouldn't happen. We have a sort of we have a role to play in sort of we have a lot of people look up to us as fighters. A lot of young lads look up to us, young girls look up to us, and the way you conduct yourself is very important, I believe, because you're passing the message on to the next generation. But at the same time, instinct and being natural, you have to remember where people come from. This is it's quite normal, to have have these altercations, and as long as it doesn't get daft and no one's getting seriously hurt. I'm not saying it's acceptable, but it's going to happen either way, and security can't be there 24/7 to dive on people. But I think there is certain situations where people have to use their brain, because the fight being in jeopardy for one, and the message you're spreading the message to millions of kids and other inspiring boxers, and I don't think it's the way to carry on personally. I think you have to have a bit of self awareness of what's going on, and just try and calm yourself. But like I said, in that
easier said than done, eh?
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
It is. So I don't hold it against none of them, because I probably would have done the same as both of them in that situation.
Yeah. And I saw Fabio the other day, and I was kind of looking at the cut on his nose. Now, it is obviously healed over, but it is still kind of a scab as such, or even fresh skin. Do you think that's going to be problematic when we go into the fight?
I wouldn't say so. Not if it's on the bridge of the nose, unless it's really deep, which I don't imagine it is. But I think if I remember rightly, Fabio seems to split here quite often. I think Nathan Gorman caught him in the first round. He had a little split over the top of his nose there. So maybe it will, maybe it won't. But if he's not afraid of blood, which I imagine he's not, because he's a fighter, so I can't see it being a problem. Like in a fight like this with so much on the line. Remember, this is a British title fight. This is a British title fight that's right up there, because the stakes are high. It's the heavyweight title, and everyone's looking forward to it. It's generated a lot of talk. No little cut on the bridge of anyone's nose is going to stop this fight. Let me tell you that.
And you're obviously in line to kind of face the winner. How do you think you'd get on against either guy?
I beat them both. That's the top and bottom of it. I think that, like I say, they're good fighters. I just believe I'm better. Like any heavyweight you ask, they're going to say the exact same thing. But I've seen them both there, and they both talk well. They both look good. They're full of muscles. They've got big watches on, big chains, big entourages and stuff. They're a bit different to me. I'm just a normal guy. I've been doing this since I was 11 years old. It's all I know. I've done it at a higher level than them as an amateur. And to be fair, even though I'm 8 fights in, my resume as a pro, I've probably fought as good a fight as them. The first couple of my fights, they were trash. But the last couple of fights, when you look at the names, would they have done any? They would have beat them definitely. Would they have done better than me? Probably not.
You said there about your first couple of fights. I know you were saying at the time that you feel like you hadn't really been tested. You've obviously completed your first kind of 10-rounder and beat Dave Allen. In that fight with Dave Allen, he was kind of calling for low blows and wanted disqualification. What did you make of that?
He's playing the game. And on the night, it wasn't even frustrating. I knew what was coming from Dave. He gave a lot of talk about coming to win and this and that, and it was apparent from the first round he's there to pick up a paycheck, which I can't knock him for. He's a family man, he's got a family and stuff, but he wasn't there to win the fight, which didn't do me any favours, if I'm honest. But yeah, I did what I had to do, and like I say, I've been this pro boxing so far. It's been at a canter. I really do need that fight that's gonna say, come on, wake up, and now you can actually do your thing. Because at the minute, this has been too easy. It's been like shelling peas. I've had harder fights in the amateurs, way harder fights. A lot more to think about, much tougher opponents, much more menacing atmospheres. So I'm ready for a real challenge, and I think the winner of this too, that brings a proper challenge.
Will provide it, yeah. You said there about Dave Allen wanting a paycheck, and this British title fight on the weekend is the highest purse for a British title fight in history.
Is it? What are we talking? Got the figures?
I'm not entirely sure, but I've been told it's just the highest.
I can imagine it will be. Yeah. I can imagine it will be.
But does that kind of excite you for what's to come financially, as well as the opportunity of fighting for titles and things like that?
I mean, listen, that's going to come anyway. I know my trajectory. I know where I'm going in the sport, so that will come. Listen, if I say that I'm not here thinking of a few quid, you're absolutely wrong. Look, I've got a tattoo of Adeleye on my leg. I mean, we've got the same mentality. I'm always in it for a few quid, but at the same time, the British title means a lot to me. I won British titles as an amateur. I did things the traditional route as an amateur, national titles, and I think as a aspiring pro, I think it's a great place to start your career. A good title to win, and something I'll be very proud of. I want to do it for myself. I think to have that title and take that home to Burton-on-Trent, swaddling coat, show all the people there, be a massive proud moment for me.
Well, we look forward to hopefully seeing that happen. This weekend we've also got the Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou fight. What do you make of the kind of crossover fight that it is?
As a one-off, it's great. Not my fear, but I think it's going to be the start of things to come now. I think when you see what this has generated, the place we're in, the money that's flying about, there's going to be a lot of world champions wanting crossover fights, I think, because financially, it just blows anything else out of the water. And it's an easy night for him, if I'm honest. So I think it's the start of things to come. And do I agree with that? Do I not agree with it? This one's been saved because of the undercard. If it was a bad undercard, then there'd be a lot. The media would be a lot different towards this fight. I think. I can't knock him. I can't knock people that are out here making this amount of money. But at the same time, with my old school head and my inner old man inside of me saying it's a load of rubbish. But has the build-up been good? Yes. Am I intrigued? Yes. Am I a fan of Fury? Absolutely. Am I a fan of Ngannou? Absolutely. Is there a question in my head saying, could he land that big shot? It's there. So, like everyone else in the world, everyone's gonna watch. So, like I say, I think it's the start of things to come, and we'll see how tonight goes as a benchmark.
I guess the problem is whether it stops other fights from happening. So obviously there was the Fury-Usyk conversations for months and months and months, and then Fury kind of walked away from that and decided to go with Ngannou. And I know we've now got the Usyk fight, but I guess the problem lies as to whether those big fights that fans want to see get kind of put aside for these money crossovers, I guess.
The brutal honesty of it is, the people at the top table don't give a shit about the fans. I know people don't want to hear that, or the boxers don't want to hear that, promoters probably don't want to hear that, but if it's lining their pockets, they're going to do it. Now, ask me, would I do the same? Yeah, absolutely. It's an unforgiving sport. It's a hard sport. You have to rinse the life out of it as much as you can in order to live a better life and provide. So it's a hard for me to say that is because that's not the way I grew up. But times have changed, and the world of boxing, the world of sport has changed. Now you have two choices. You can either be the guy that sits there and cries about how it used to be, or you can move with the time, further yourself, and get paid.
Yeah.
Now, I think he's alright, isn't he? Like I say, it's a tough one, but
in case I can't beat them, join them, I guess.
I think it is, you know.
Yeah.
And I often say some of the champions of old will be rolling in their graves if they've seen the way boxing was now. But then the present champions, they're all getting paid. You look at the faces that are here and wanting to get involved and are involved. Everyone's here for a few quid.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that. No one's here because it's Saudi and because they're wanting to visit Saudi. It's developing into one of them places that if you're involved in sport and boxing especially, football as we've seen, and you want to really propel your life, you come and get involved. And that's why everyone's here.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. In terms of the fight itself, obviously you said there about Ngannou's power and the fact that if he lands that punch, but have you caught any of the videos of him in the ring and kind of, I know fans are saying he looks a little bit slow and flat-footed. What's your opinion on how he's looking?
Yeah, but then again, Tyson will know this anyway, but because he's not a traditional boxer, because he does things a little bit different, sometimes it can make it quite awkward. You have to be switched on because if he comes desperate, he might start swinging him in and really winging him in, and that can be quite difficult to deal with because it's not the traditional usual. We've spent years and years sparring with actual boxers, fighting boxers. Now you're fighting people like this. Look at KSI the other day.
Yeah.
Came out bouncing around like a nutter. And Tommy just couldn't get to grips with it because it throws you off. Yeah. So there is that factor. I mean, he won in the end, and a close one. But there is that factor. But I do think Fury is far superior than anyone really when it comes to boxing and his head as well, his brain. So I can't see it being a problem. Will he land a shot? Is he flat-footed? Yeah, possibly. You know. But Fury's the kind of type of fight you struggle to hit him with throwing a handful of rice at him. So you know you're asking not the impossible, but it's a massive, massive ask. And I think if he does land that one shot, is that going to be enough to put Fury away? We've seen him hit Wilder, haven't we? We've seen him take some big shots. At the same time, I think he's better than. Remember when Fury came back and he boxed like, was it that Tom Walsh or something? I think Ngannou will probably take some of them guys out as well. So he's not the worst opponent he's ever fought, but definitely he's far from the best.
Do you think then Ngannou can kind of prove his boxing credentials tonight and potentially forge his own career within boxing, or is that a bit of a push?
Absolutely. You know, it's a win-win for Ngannou here.
Yeah.
He's expected to get his ears boxed off. Now, if you go in there, you show a lot of heart, and you show, you know, you have been practicing in the gym, you have been learning. He's been with Mike Tyson, you have picked up a few things. If you do go and show that, I think you'll win a lot of fans, you know, just by the performance. There's a way to lose in boxing. You see it all the time. You know, when Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence lost, but he showed heart. He didn't stop trying. Yeah, he got beat by the better man, but he's come away and he's still okay.
Yeah.
You know, you see, there's definitely a way to lose, and I think if he goes in there, gives 100% against the best heavyweight on the planet at the minute, and does okay, then yeah, he'll be alright. But if he goes in there like stinks the place up, I go back to the Misfits last week. Logan Paul and the other fella, stunk the place out because he didn't try to win. He didn't try to win. So think about it from Francis Ngannou, see what I'm saying. Go out there and give it your all, win, lose or draw. Look where we are, look what we're doing. And you know, if you go in there and compete, There's not a promoter in the world that's going to turn down Francis Ngannou and pay him a load of money to come and fight one of their heavyweights.
Yeah.
I'll have a bash with him if Boxer and I get on the phone, no problem. So
there you go, calling out Francis already.
No, not a problem. If he wants to come back in and he's gone from Fury at top level to someone just coming in, I'm your man straight away, no problem. Let's do a stadium, let's do Old Trafford.
There you go, had it here first. How important do you think Mike Tyson has been in camp? I mean, obviously he's a boxing legend, but how much do you think he can actually change Ngannou within this short kind of time frame?
I think Mike Tyson's there because he's Mike Tyson and because...
More of a publicity stunt?
Yeah,
or?
I think so. I'm not sure. Listen, he probably knows a lot more than me about boxing. He's been involved and he's a legend. But in terms of getting to Fury, what I've seen Ngannou trying to do on the pads and on the bag, he's going to struggle to do. Mike Tyson could have done it, but Mike Tyson's Mike Tyson. Do you know what I mean? And it was a one-off. One every 100 years, 200 years, Mike Tyson you're going to get. Ngannou is not Mike Tyson, so he'll struggle. But he would have helped. Probably in terms of he's been in big fights. You know, the words he can give, the words of encouragement, calming him down. But tactically, I'm not sure how good Tyson was through his career. And he had one way, didn't he? You know, we all know the Mike Tyson way. We all know that. So I imagine there'll be a few more people in the corner with a bit more instruction. But he's got one chance for me. He's got to go at Fury, not with single shots. He's got to double it up, even triple it up. Aim for that big torso of Fury. There's no point in his head. You're never going to catch it unless you work off the body, the chest. Double that jab up, triple that jab up. And then when you do get in them clinches, show your experience in the wrestling game. You know, you grab him hard, squeeze him. Yeah. I'm going to get some stick here because them low blows, people think I'm a dirty fighter. Well, I'm not, but I do what I do to win. You know, really, really turn him around in them clinches and pull his head down, hit him where the referee's not looking. If you want to make a fight of it, that's things you've got to do. Remember, this is boxing, but it's also fighting. It's war. You do what you got to do to gain an advantage.
And it is war, and
don't get caught.
Yeah, key point. Yeah. Don't get caught. So it is going to be a war in there. I think we're all expecting that. Slightly nerve-wracking then for Tyson, because if he gets cut or injured in any sort of way, it could derail that Usyk fight, and we all want to see that so badly.
I want to wrap it. I want him to go in there, jab, float about, move, entertain the crowd, a few Ali shuffles.
Yep. And then get out.
Go home, spend some time with his family and the kids, get back into camp, and I want to see the best Tyson Fury. He looks in great shape now, to me, to be fair. He looks in really good shape. I want to see the best Tyson Fury because there's been a lot of Usyk talk, and Usyk's a great fighter. I'm a massive fan, huge fan. But would I like to see Tyson Fury beat him? Absolutely. He's a fellow Brit, someone who I've looked up to, someone who the whole country at the minute seems to be looking up to in terms of sport and stuff. You know, you likes of him, Anthony Joshua. You know, they carry the flag for British boxing for a long time now. I'd like to see him be undisputed. So, yeah, I think Tyson don't need me to tell him this. You know, he's far beyond me. But, yeah, after this fight, come through it well, go home, rest, and then take yourself to deep, dark training camp and come back better than ever. And I imagine he will because that's the kind of person he is.
And how do you see that fight with Usyk going? I mean, I know, obviously, against AJ, I think it was 5th round, Usyk struggled with some body shots. Obviously, the Daniel Dubois situation. Yeah, how do you think Tyson does against him?
I mean, up until before that Dubois fight, I give Usyk every chance. I just thought it can be really difficult to pin down. What I did see, a slow in Usyk. He was still unbelievably good. If you're a boxing man and you pick the brains out of the Dubois fight, he was still very good. He did what he had to do to win. And I think he'd be better against Fury because he's going to have to be better. Yeah. But I give Fury every chance. He's a beast. He's a huge, huge man with fast hands, fast feet, a good brain, and he'll nullify Usyk. He will grab him, he will hold him, push him, pull him, punch him everywhere. So yeah, I think Fury wins. I really do. And never said that before. I was one of them that said I think Usyk might be too slippery, too clever. But judging off that last fight, if that's anything to go by, Fury will do him.
And in that last fight, Do you think Daniel Dubois was robbed?
He got. It's difficult because Usyk was so far ahead, and he got up and he just carried on pinging him. Don't get me wrong, he had a longer break. Do I think it was an illegal shot? I don't. I personally think it hurt him. If you look at the way the shot was coming up, it wasn't in the privates, but you can pick the brains out of that all day. You know, I was upset for Daniel on that night. I thought he did really well.
Yeah, I thought he did really well as well. Okay, so to finish, I want to know your prediction for Saturday night between Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou first.
After 6 rounds, I think he'll stop him. The referee will jump in and be taking a lot of shots, clean shots. Yeah, the referee will stop it after 6, maybe 7.
Okay. Fabio Wardley, David Adeleye.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
Not as wild as everyone thinks in the beginning. A bit cagey from both people. First round or 2.
Mm-hmm.
It'll catch fire really quick after that. I think Fabio will jump on top of him and the referee will jump in after 5 rounds, about round 5, round 6, maybe.